In the shifting landscape of modern Hollywood, where nostalgia and reinvention frequently intertwine, few names carry the same magnetic intrigue as Johnny Depp. The actor, known for vanishing into his characters with a curious blend of eccentricity and vulnerability, has announced his next transformation, Ebenezer Scrooge, the miserly old man at the heart of Charles Dickens' timeless classic A Christmas Carol. But Depp's Scrooge won't simply echo the ghosts of cinema past. As he teased in a recent interview, he plans to take a different angle on him, suggesting that audiences are about to meet a Scrooge unlike any they've seen before. The announcement marks a new chapter for Depp, both professionally and personally, as he navigates a careful, deliberate return to major studio filmmaking after several years away from Hollywood's inner circle. A return wrapped in shadows and snow for fans of both Dickens and Depp, the news feels symbolic. The actor's career, once gilded with global box office success through Pirates of the Caribbean, Edward Scissorhands, and Finding Neverland, was interrupted by a long period of legal turmoil and creative retreat. While he remained active through independent projects like Jean du Barry, his appearances in mainstream Hollywood films dwindled. Now, Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol, the upcoming adaptation directed by Ty West, positions itself as the platform for Depp's re-entry into the cinematic mainstream. The project, developed by Paramount Pictures and co-produced by Infinitum Nihil, Depp's own production company, is already being framed as both a personal and artistic resurrection. It's not just another retelling, Depp said during a press event in Beverly Hills. Everyone knows Scrooge as the cold, joyless miser who finds redemption, but I've always felt there's something deeper beneath that surface. I want to look at him from a different angle, one that's less about caricature and more about the man behind the frost. Those words, a different angle, have since become the creative thesis of the film, and the internet's newest obsession. Reimagining Scrooge for a new generation to call A Christmas Carol well-trodden would be an understatement. From Alastair Sim's haunting 1951 performance to George C. Scott's commanding portrayal in 1984, from The Muppets' joyful retelling to Jim Carrey's 2009 motion capture version, Scrooge has become a mirror for every era's anxieties and aspirations. Depp, however, insists that the new film won't try to compete with the past. It will reinterpret it. What's fascinating about Dickens, Depp explained, is that he was writing about ghosts long before cinema found them. It's a ghost story at heart, dark, moral, and redemptive. We've gotten used to seeing it as a cozy holiday tale, but underneath it's terrifying. It's about confronting your own soul. That darker tone aligns perfectly with the sensibilities of director Ty West, whose background in atmospheric horror, The House of the Devil, X-Pearl, has earned him a reputation for mood and tension. Together, West and Depp are reimagining A Christmas Carol as something that sits at the crossroads of Gothic, horror, and human drama. Insiders close to the production have described early concept art and test footage as stunningly shadowed, evoking Victorian London not as a picturesque postcard but as a city haunted by fog, regret, and moral decay. The ghosts aren't simply there to scare him, they're manifestations of his trauma, one crew member told Variety. This Scrooge isn't just visited by spirits. He's haunted by his own reflection. Inside the vision, the ghosts, the guilt, and the man-so. What does it mean to take a different angle on Ebenezer Scrooge? Depp's collaborators hint that his approach hinges on psychological realism, rather than depicting Scrooge as a static miser transformed overnight by ghostly intervention. The film dives into his inner fractures, the loss, loneliness, and fear that calcified into cruelty. I think people forget that Scrooge wasn't born heartless, Depp mused. He got that way because the world hurt him. He built walls to survive, and when you live long enough behind those walls, you forget why you built them in the first place. The film reportedly opens not with Scrooge counting coins, but with a dreamlike montage of his youth, his father's bitterness, the ache of lost love, the coldness of ambition. It's an artistic choice meant to anchor the story in empathy, not judgment. Depp's Scrooge, then, may be less of a villain and more of a mirror, a man who represents the cost of choosing survival over humanity. The Ghosts Get a Makeover, 2. Another dimension of this reinterpretation lies in the spirits themselves. The ghost of Christmas past, present, and yet to come, often played for theatrical flourish, are being designed as extensions of Scrooge's psyche. Each ghost is part of him, said production designer Kate Hawley, known for her work on Crimson Peak and The Hobbit. The past is memory and guilt. The present is conscience. The future is dread. Together, they're less supernatural visitors and more a confrontation with the parts of himself he's denied. While no official stills have been released, reports suggest that Ian McKellen has been cast as Jacob Marley, Scrooge's deceased partner, in a performance that promises both gravitas and tenderness. Andrea Riseborough is said to play the ghost of Christmas past, while Tramell Tillman, of Severance, brings a commanding energy to the ghost of Christmas present. The ensemble, anchored by Depp, signals a project that values acting craft as much as visual spectacle. The director's approach. Ty West steps beyond horror. Ty West's involvement was met with surprise when it was first announced. Best known for his horror trilogy, X, Pearl, and Maxine, West has built a reputation for precise, slow-burn filmmaking. But according to those close to production, his take on A Christmas Carol leans not into horror per se, but into the aesthetic of dread. This is Dickens through a Gothic lens, West told reporters. It's not about jump scares. It's about the fear of what we become when we stop feeling. West's meticulous visual style, characterized by symmetrical compositions and long, meditative takes, may provide the perfect counterpoint to Depp's performative volatility. Together, the pair have described the collaboration as creative electricity. He's got this incredible sense of tone, Depp said of West, and tone is everything in a film like this. You can't play Scrooge too cold or too warm. You have to find the tremor in between. Between shadows and redemption at its heart, A Christmas Carol is about redemption, the possibility that even the coldest heart can thaw. But Depp's comments suggest that his version of Scrooge won't find that redemption easily. Redemption isn't given, he said during a Q&A session in Los Angeles. It's earned and it's painful. We want to show that pain, that reckoning. You can't really understand light until you've been in the dark. In that sense, Depp's Scrooge may resemble his earlier characters, broken dreamers, eccentric loners, men torn between worlds. From Edward Scissorhands to Sweeney Todd, his career has been defined by outsiders who ache for connection. Scrooge, despite his wealth, is the ultimate outsider, a man who has shut himself off from love and light. Maybe he's one of the most human characters I've ever played, Depp admitted. Because he's lost touch with his humanity, and that's something we all risk in our own ways. The stakes, a career crossroads. There's no avoiding the context surrounding Depp's return. After years of tabloid coverage, courtroom battles and polarizing headlines, Ebenezer is being watched not just as a movie, but as a test of his professional resilience. Industry observers see the film as both an artistic gamble and a potential turning point. If it succeeds, it could restore Depp's standing as a leading man capable of carrying emotionally rich material. If it falters, critics may question whether his comeback momentum can endure. Johnny's always been an actor of transformation, said producer Graham King, who worked with him on The Rum Diary. But now, it's about transformation in a deeper sense, not through makeup or accent, but through self-examination. Scrooge is, in many ways, the perfect metaphor for where he is as an artist. Behind the scenes, crafting the world of Victorian haunting, the production design reportedly spares no expense in authenticity. Filming is set to begin early next year, on elaborately constructed sets replicating 19th-century London, complete with narrow cobbled streets, flickering gaslights, and the perpetual haze of winter fog. Cinematographer Jaron Blaschke, The Lighthouse, has been tapped to lens the film, suggesting a rich visual texture that blends realism with eerie stylization. Practical effects, prosthetics, and atmospheric lighting will dominate over CGI, aligning with Depp's preference for tactile, handmade filmmaking. Costume designer Colleen Atwood, a longtime Depp collaborator, is also returning to the fold. We're going for a Victorian silhouette that's both familiar and unsettling, she said. You'll recognize the period, but you'll feel the chill of something slightly off, as if the past itself were alive. Fan reactions and industry buzz. Since Depp's remarks went public, social media has lit up with speculation. The tag Depp Scrooge trended worldwide within hours, with fans debating whether this could mark his most mature role to date. Entertainment outlets have called the casting inspired, while others note the poetic irony. Depp, once Hollywood's favorite eccentric, now playing a man rediscovering compassion. It's a story about redemption, one Twitter user wrote. Maybe that's exactly the story Johnny wants to tell. Friends, subscribe the channel, and I wish you good luck. You should take care of yourself.